What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Friday, April 15th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Hey guys, my voice is still a little bit shaky. It's a little bit better than yesterday. So thanks for tuning in and sticking with me while I recover. Okay guys, we have an 11-game slate tonight. So let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Carlos Rodon. And he's got a 5% pitching advantage over a low-salary batting team, the Cleveland Guardians. So strange that teams have to change their names, kind of sad, but it is what it is. It's the Cleveland Guardians. And Carlos Rodon, he's only giving up a .545 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 7 righties here tonight. On top of that, the Guardians have only hit 12 of his last 64 pitches. That's a 188 batting average. Carlos Rodon is $10,100 FanDuel salary, $300 less on DraftKings. He was averaging 40 fantasy points per game on the season last year, so I like Carlos Rodon here versus the Cleveland Guardians. Okay, now here's a lower salary pitcher. It's a high risk, high reward pick. It always is when you're trying to save salary at the pitcher position. He's got a couple of guys he's going up against today where they bat really well versus him, so I'm a little bit scared. But take a look at Tarik Skubal. And he's pitching against a low salary batting team, the Kansas City Royals. Tarik Skubal, he gives up a .693 OPS versus lefties, a .782 OPS versus righties, and a .876 OPS versus switch hitters, facing 2 lefties, 5 righties, 2 switch hitters. But I think this pick is interesting because the Royals have only hit 17 of his last 70 pitches. That's a .243 batting average, and he's $7,900 FanDuel salary, $300 more on DraftKings, projected at 26 fantasy points tonight. He was averaging 26 fantasy points per game on the season last year, had an ERA of 4.34, record was 8-12 on the season, pitching an average of 82 pitches per game. So if you're looking to roll the dice and save some salary at the pitcher position, take a look at Tarik Skubal here versus the Kansas City Royals. Oh, and Carlos Rodon, he had an ERA of 2.37 last year. Record was 13-5, pitching an average of 92 pitches per game. Forgot to mention that. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Freddie Freeman with a 20% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Vladimir Gutierrez. Freddie Freeman is batting 19% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .961 OPS versus righties, and Vladimir Gutierrez is giving up a .772 OPS versus lefties. Freddie Freeman is 2 for 6 with a 1 OPS versus Gutierrez. Both of those hits were doubles. He's $3,600 FanDuel salary, $1,500 more on DraftKings, projected at 12.6 fantasy points here tonight, averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he's got a batting average of .300, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 9.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under, so I like Freddie Freeman here versus Vladimir Gutierrez. Now, I also like Salvador Perez with a 31% batting advantage over Tarik Skubal. And this is one of those guys I'm a little afraid of playing Tarik Skubal because Salvador Perez bats 20% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.004 OPS versus lefties. And Tarik Skubal pitches 11% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .782 OPS versus righties. Now, Salvador Perez is 5 for 13, batting a .385 batting average and a 1.539 OPS versus Skubal. And the scary thing here is that 3 of those 5 hits were for home runs. Salvador Perez is $3,600 FanDuel salary, $1,400 more on DraftKings, and he averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he's got a batting average of .273. So I like Salvador Perez here versus Tarik Skubal. I also like Joey Votto with a 29% batting advantage over Tony Gonzalez. Joey Votto is batting 31% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.043 OPS versus righties. Tony Gonzalez, he's giving up a .659 OPS versus lefties. It's a pretty balanced pitcher. Joey Votto is $3,100 FanDuel salary, $1,500 more on DraftKings, averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .266. So I like Joey Votto here versus Tony Gonzalez. I also like Trey Mancini. I think this is a great value play on the slate here tonight. Trey Mancini with a 53% batting advantage over Jordan Montgomery. Trey Mancini is batting 24% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .911 OPS versus lefties. Jordan Montgomery pitching 29% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .670 OPS versus righties. And I like this pick because Trey Mancini is 9 for 21. That's a .429 batting average and a 1.091 OPS versus Montgomery. And he's only $2,600 FanDuel salary, $600 more on DraftKings, averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .255. Just looks like he's a little underpriced for his matchup here tonight. So I like Trey Mancini here versus Jordan Montgomery.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
So here's another value play. I like Omar Narvaez with a 49% batting advantage over Miles Mikolas. Omar Narvaez is batting 41% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .818 OPS versus righties. And Miles Mikolas, he's giving up a .769 OPS versus lefties. Omar Narvaez is 2 for 5, batting .400 with a 1 OPS versus Mikolas. And he's only $2,200 FanDuel salary, $700 more on DraftKings, averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .266. So I like Omar Narvaez here versus Miles Mikolas. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Jake Cronenworth with a 17% batting advantage over Kyle Wright. Jake Cronenworth, he bats 6% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .822 OPS versus righties. Kyle Wright pitches 11% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .945 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus right yet. Jake Cronenworth is $3,200 FanDuel salary, $1,000 more on DraftKings, averaged 10 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .266. So I like Jake Cronenworth here versus Kyle Wright. I also like Jose Altuve with a 14% batting advantage over Marco Gonzalez. Jose Altuve is batting a .764 OPS versus lefty pitchers. Marco Gonzalez, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, 26% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .841 OPS versus righties. And I like this pick because Jose Altuve is 10 for 24, batting a .417 batting average and a 1.106 OPS versus Gonzalez. He's $3,600 FanDuel salary, $1,800 more on DraftKings, averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year, got a batting average of .278. So I like Jose Altuve here versus Marco Gonzalez. I also like Alberto Mondesi with a 41% batting advantage over Tarik Skubal. Alberto Mondesi is batting 26% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .979 OPS versus lefties. Tarik Skubal pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, giving up a .876 OPS versus switch hitters. And Alberto Mondesi is 3 for 9, batting a .333 batting average and a 1.333 OPS versus Skubal. 2 of those 3 hits are for home runs. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned for Tarik Skubal here. He's going up against a couple batters who are just cracking home runs left and right off of him. So high risk, high reward there. Just keep that in mind. He's got to get past these guys. But Alberto Mondesi is only $2,700 FanDuel salary, $1,600 more on DraftKings, averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .230. So I like Alberto Mondesi here versus Tarik Skubal. Now I also like Jonathan Villar with a 32% batting advantage over German Marquez. Jonathan Villar is batting 10% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .773 OPS versus righties. And German Marquez pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, 22% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .866 OPS versus switch hitters. And I like this pick because Jonathan Villar is 5 for 12, batting a .417 batting average and a 1.045 OPS versus Marquez. Jonathan Villar is $2,700 FanDuel salary, $900 more on DraftKings, averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he's got a batting average of .249. So I like Jonathan Villar here versus German Marquez. Okay, now I just think this is an interesting pick here. This guy does have a somewhat low batting average, but just take a look at this. Jurickson Profar, he has a 94% batting advantage over Kyle Wright. Jurickson Profar is batting 31% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .711 OPS versus righties. And Kyle Wright, he pitches his worst ball by far to switch hitters. 64% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .2.467 OPS versus switch hitters. So Jurickson Profar is $3,000 FanDuel salary, $200 less on DraftKings. So I like that DraftKings price. Now, he only averaged 6 fantasy points per game on the season last year. And yeah, he's only got a batting average of .227. Just think the splits are super interesting. So could be a dart throw pick here. Maybe he's going to be low ownership and maybe he goes off. So I just think this is an interesting pick. Jerks and Profar here versus Kyle Wright.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. Here's a value play. I like Chris Owings with a 73% batting advantage over Jordan Montgomery. Chris Owings is batting 44% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.432 OPS versus lefties. Jordan Montgomery giving up a .670 OPS versus righties. And Chris Owings, he's only $2,000 FanDuel salary. Now he's $1,700 more on DraftKings, but I love that FanDuel price. He averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year, got a batting average of .326. So I like Chris Owings as a value play here versus Jordan Montgomery. Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. Let's see here. Who have I not given you already? Most of these guys. There he is. Okay, I like Isaiah Keener-Falefa. So this is another value play. Isaiah Keener-Falefa with a 22% batting advantage over Jordan Lyles. Isaiah Keener-Falefa, he's batting 19% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .711 OPS versus righties. Jordan Lyles is giving up a .864 OPS versus righties. Isaiah Keener-Falefa is 1 for 3 with a .733 OPS versus Lyles. But I like this pick because he's only $2,200 FanDuel salary, $1,600 more on DraftKings, averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He's got a respectable batting average of .271. So I like Isaiah Keener-Falefa here versus Jordan Lyles. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. So I think we had this guy as a home run hitter yesterday. I'm not really sure. My memory is a little bit foggy right now as well. But take a look at this guy. Here's a stud for you. Mike Trout with 124% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Matt Bush. Mike Trout is batting 37% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .210 OPS versus righties. Matt Bush pitches 87% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .888 OPS versus righties. Now, I'm guessing that Matt Bush needs some more pitches under his belt because that is a pretty big spread between lefties and righties. But Mike Trout is 3 for 7, batting a .429 batting average and a 1.375 OPS versus Bush. He's $4,000 FanDuel salary, $1,900 more on DraftKings. They've got him projected at 16.7 fantasy points here tonight. And he averaged 13 fantasy points per game on the season last year. Batting average of .333. So I like Mike Trout here versus Matt Bush. Now I also like Cedric Mullins with a 20% batting advantage over Jordan Montgomery. Cedric Mullins is batting a .811 OPS versus lefties. Jordan Montgomery pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, giving up a .874 OPS versus switch hitters. And Cedric Mullins is 5 for 16, batting a .312 batting average, only a .624 OPS versus Montgomery, but that batting average is nice and the splits are pretty good. And Cedric Mullins is only $3,200 FanDuel salary. Now he is $2,400 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. He was averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, got a batting average of .291, so I like Cedric Mullins here versus Jordan Montgomery. Now I also like Jesse Winker with a 62% batting advantage over Jake Odorizzi. Jesse Winker is batting 46% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.057 OPS versus righties. Jake Odorizzi, he's pitching his worst ball versus lefty batters, giving up a .851 OPS versus lefties. Now, Jesse Winker is 0 for 5 versus Odorizzi, and that's a little concerning, but he is only $3,000 FanDuel salary. He's $1,700 more on DraftKings, so I like that FanDuel price. He averaged 13 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He has a batting average of .305, so he could be due for a hit here. So I like Jesse Winker here versus Jake Odorizzi. Okay, now I don't know what to think of this guy. He's hot, he's cold, he's hot, he's cold. I don't know if we know what we're gonna get any given season from this guy, but looks like he's on a hot streak his last few games. So take a look at Cody Bellinger with a 38% batting advantage over Vladimir Gutierrez. Cody Bellinger is batting 36% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .591 OPS versus righties. Vladimir Gutierrez is giving up a .772 OPS versus lefties. No at-bats versus Gutierrez yet. And Cody Bellinger is $3,100 FanDuel salary, $300 less on DraftKings. So I think that DraftKings price is attractive. And the only reason I say that is because Cody Bellinger has scored 18, 28, and 21 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So he's on fire. Now, his batting average is awful, a 165 batting average. But like I said, this guy, like one season, this guy was just smashing home runs left and right, couldn't miss a ball. And then all of a sudden, this guy couldn't hit a ball. And now it looks like he's on fire again. So just who knows what's going on with this guy this season. But I think it is worth a risk on DraftKings. See if you can catch that fire. So I like Cody Bellinger on DraftKings here versus Vladimir Gutierrez. Okay, another value play that I like is Lorenzo Cain with an 8% batting advantage over Miles Mikolas. Lorenzo Cain is batting 16% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .755 OPS versus righties. Miles Mikolas is giving up a .708 OPS versus righties. I like this pick because Lorenzo Cain is 6 for 19, batting a .316 batting average, a .960 OPS versus Mikolas, and he's only $2,300 FanDuel salary, $1,200 more on DraftKings, averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .257, so I like Lorenzo Cain here versus Miles Mikolas.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this MLB slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.